Hello, everybody. We're going to talk about one of the required books for this course, Strunk and White, The Elements of Style, 4th edition. This is a great book, if you can say a grammar book is great. First of all, it's nice and thin. Now, yours will look thinner. Mine's falling apart. But if you look at other grammar books, you'll see the difference. Here's one I got in the mail recently because publishing companies are always trying to sell me grammar books. And here's another grammar book. See how thick they are? So I like the sweet and condensed version of this grammar book. Your midterm exam will be on this book. The midterm is Thursday, October 21st. It will be short essays. We'll talk more about that later. Don't ask me when later is, but we'll talk about it before the midterm. So you have to get the names straight. William Strunk Jr. and E.B. White. If you confuse them on the midterm, then it's kind of a bad sign. So William Strunk Jr. wrote chapters 1 through 4. He was a professor at Cornell University, and he wrote the book around 1919. Just when I say around, it's because that's the date that E.B. White gives in his introduction. In his class in 1919, he had E.B. White as a student. So that's why E.B. White got to write the introduction. Now, E.B. White was well known for his essays that he wrote for the New Yorker magazine, but you know him for his book Charlotte's Web and his other book Stuart Little. But during his lifetime, he was really known more for his essays. So you have to keep those two names straight. Next, who's Charles Osgood? Well, he wrote the afterword in your book. Now, some of you have the electronic version, which is just fine, but I don't have pages for the electronic version, so you'll have to be a mystery person and figure out those pages yourself. But the afterword is on page 87. Charles Osgood is a news reporter who used to do the Sunday morning news on CBS. And where does he keep his Strunk and White? He keeps it in his pocket. Now, do you think he really keeps it in his pocket? Who knows? But people who wear man clothes, does this fit in any of your pockets? I don't know. But what he means, I think, is that he keeps it near all the time for advice. So now we have 3 names: William Strunk, E.B. White, and Charles Osgood. The last important name is Roger Angle. Roger Angle wrote the foreword, which is on page Roman numeral 9. In the foreword. Now, Roger Angle has a special relationship because he is the stepson of E.B. White, and he wrote for the New Yorker magazine also. So stepfather and stepson worked together at the New Yorker magazine. Now, the New Yorker magazine's a great magazine to read, but you don't have time to read it if you're a student because it has lots and lots of essays in it. So if you happen to go to a doctor or dentist's office, you may see old New Yorker magazines there. And while you're waiting around, instead of checking your cell phone out, maybe read 1 or 2 essays in the New Yorker just so you're familiar with it. Otherwise, wait till you graduate from college because it is a very, very long reading magazine, but has really great stuff in it. So I'm not saying bad about it, I'm just being practical. So now you know that the book is at least 100 years old, not this particular edition, and it has a lot of things to say, and it condenses everything. We don't change things in English much. So you don't have to have some up-to-date fancy book like this one that was sent to me this summer, which I probably will throw away or something or give away. Not that I know everything, and I don't, but I have my book here. So how can a book last 100 years? That's a question for you to decide as you read it. So I'm going to be talking about the foreword and introduction the most right now. You need to get the whole book read by Tuesday, October 21st. So if you have any questions about what I have said or what I will say, please email me and I'll try to answer them. I also plan to hold a review for the midterm on Zoom, date to be announced, but if you can't attend it, it'll be recorded for you to see. Okay, let's get into the heart of the book a little bit. I'm going to go to the introduction and ask you several things, and then I will answer them since this is not a discussion, darn it. So, I have some questions that don't exactly have answers. I'm trying to get you to think. The second paragraph on the introduction in Roman numeral 13 says, I passed the course, graduated from the university, and forgot the book but not the professor. This is E.B. White writing. Now tell me, why would you write an introduction to the elements of style if you forgot the book? Where's the logic in that? If I were the editor, I'd probably have asked E.B. White to leave that sentence out. Some 38 years later, the book bobbled up again when Macmillan commissioned me to revise it. Now, the fourth edition you have is by a different publisher because this book makes a lot of money. And they have a lot of copies of this book, like the elements of writing, the elements of this, the elements of standing on your head or whatever. If you went to an actual bookstore, you would see those all lined up together with the same color cover and the same author announced in red and the title in black and white. So don't worry that yours isn't published by Macmillan and Company. I don't even think mine is, and even though mine's a little older than yours. So it says, the elements of style, when I re-examined it in 1957, seems to me to contain rich deposits of gold. Now you all are experts. Rich deposits of gold is a cliche, so let's stay away from cliches. It was Will Strunk's parvum opus. Now that's Latin. There are context clues here of what it means. His attempt to cut the vast tangle of English rhetoric down to size and write its rules and principles on the head of a pin. So when I say the book is sweetened condensed milk, that's my metaphor. I'm comparing the smallness of the book to sweetened condensed milk, because when you make sweetened condensed milk, you cook it down. Besides, I love sweetened condensed milk, but that's neither here nor there. So, parvum opus is Latin. It means small work. Now, most people are so proud of their magnum opus. That's their greatest work. So Strunk is making fun of people bragging about their greatest work because he's saying his greatest work is his littlest work. His magnum opus is his parvum opus. Will himself had hung the tag little on the book. He referred to it sardonically and with secret pride as little book, always giving the little a spatial twist as though he were putting a spin on a ball. Now remember, that's a cliche. We stay away from them. In its original form was a 43-page summation of the case for cleanliness, accuracy, and brevity in the use of English. So the book you have now is, excuse me, I have to look, I haven't got the number, is 65 pages. Now we don't know the font or the print size for the original book, but you can see that's a pretty darn short book because chapter 5 was added later. and Strunk didn't write chapter 5. Okay, does anybody have any questions? Email me, and I will try to answer them. And this is Strunk and White video number 1, and soon you will get a video number 2. Woo-hoo!